Everybody, time for Week 17 picks, last week of the regular season, starting off with the Jets at the Bills. Simple for the Jets. Winning, they're in. Their fate's in their own hands now. And it's going to be tough going up against their old coach and Rex Ryan, but I think they're going to come out on top and make the playoffs for the first time since 2010 with a score of 24 to 10. Next, we have the Eagles at the Giants. It's going to be very interesting because with the Eagles just firing Chip Kelly and possibly the end of Tom Coughlin's tenure at the Giants, even though I do not personally think he will get fired. It's going to be a very interesting match. It's not going to have any meaning except for bragging rights, I guess. And I think the Giants will come out on top playing at home with a victory of 17-7. Next, we have the Lions going up against the Bears. The Lions have been having a very solid second half of the season after a very bad start. I think they're going to end on the high note and going to beat the Bears with a score of 20-17. Next, we have the Saints taking on the Falcons. The Falcons finally got it back over the last couple of weeks with a very impressive win against the Panthers, giving them their first loss. And with the last game of the season at home, going up against the Saints, which have a very bad defense, I think the Falcons are going to come out on top with a score of 28-20, with Julio Jones having at least one touchdown catch. Next, we have the Colts taking on the Titans. If the Colts want any chance at still making the playoffs, I think they have like a .03 chance. One of the things they have to do is beat the Titans, who have been very bad as of late, especially now with Zach Mettenberger finishing off the season, who is still winless as an NFL starter, and I think that's going to continue no matter who starts for the Colts. And I think the Colts are going to come out on top with a score of 14-10. Next, we have the Redskins taking on the Cowboys. Last week, the Redskins clinched the NFC East, and the Cowboys are still going to be starting with Kellen Moore. It's the fourth starter for the Cowboys this season. It's his second NFL start, and I think the Redskins defense is going to pressure him too much, and he's going to throw at least one interception, and the Redskins are going to come out on top with a score of 21-15. Next, we have the Patriots going up against the Dolphins. The Patriots had a very, very tough loss against the Jets last week, and I think they're going to bounce back going up against the struggling Dolphins. I think they're going to prove that they're the team to beat in the AFC after this game with a score of 35-7. Next, we have the Ravens taking on the Bengals. If the Bengals still want to have a chance at the second seed, they're going to have to beat the Ravens. I think they're going to beat the Ravens. I think A.J. McCarron is going to bounce back after blowing the game in overtime, botching that snap, and I think he's going to have 2 touchdown passes, and the Bengals are going to win 21-10. Next, we have the Steelers taking on the Browns. If the Steelers want any chance at making the playoffs, they're going to have to beat the Browns, and I think they will beat the Browns. They're going to come back after a bad game against the Ravens last week, and I think Big Ben is going to have a really solid game, throwing 300 yards and 2 touchdown passes, one of which will probably be to Antonio Brown. And I think the Steelers will come out on top with a score of 24-10. Next, we have the Jaguars taking on the Texans. The Texans, if they win, they're in, just like the Jets. And I just don't think they're going to win this game. I think they still are going to win the division because the Colts need like 10 other things to happen, which some of them happen to be they need the Patriots to lose and the Jets to lose, and I don't think either of those teams are losing. And I think the Jaguars, though, will come out on top with their very strong offense, and they're going to win by a score of 28-21. Next, we have the Cardinals taking on the Seahawks. The Seahawks had a very, very bad loss against the Rams last week at home. They're going to try and bounce back in Arizona, but I just think Arizona, even with the loss of Tyrann Mathieu, they're too much of a whole team. Their offense is amazing. Their defense is one of the best in the league. And in Arizona, that is just too hostile an environment for the Seahawks, and the Cardinals are going to come out on top with a score of 24-14. Next, we have the Chargers taking on the Broncos. If the Broncos win, they get second seed and a bye. I don't think they are going to win. I think San Diego's offense will find some cracks in the very strong Bronco defense, and their Broncos will get the third seed, and the Chargers will win by a score of 17-14. Next, we have the Chiefs taking on the Raiders. With the Broncos losing, if the Chiefs win, then they get the division, and my mistake before, the Broncos would be put down to the 5th or 6th seed. It depends on the tie-breaking and the record of the Jets, and I think the Chiefs will come out on top and win the division, beating the Raiders by a score of 24-14 as well. Next, we have the Rams taking on the 49ers. The Rams had a very big win against the Seahawks last week. I think they will have another very big game against the 49ers. And I think this will be Jeff Fisher's first season as head coach, not being under 500 at the end of the season. And the Rams will come out on top with a score of 17-10. Next, we have the Buccaneers taking on the Panthers. I think the Panthers are going to bounce back after the first loss of the season, and Cam Newton will have a very solid game against the Buccaneers, and the Panthers will come out on top with a score of 24-17. Last, we have the Vikings taking on the Packers. Winner of this game gets the NFC North. And with a very, very embarrassing loss to the Cardinals last week, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back, and they're going to win the division over the Vikings, since with it being in Green Bay, I think that's going to really help the Packers momentum-wise, and they're going to come out on top with a score of 28-21. All right, that's it for the regular season. See you guys next week when I do my playoff picks.